Okay, artists, in this video, we will cover everything you need to know about the art rental business, which is very crucial at this moment. It kind of already existed for a couple of decades, but only now it becomes really, really interesting. And it's at the verge of potentially completely booming and taking a real portion out of that online art market. So it's very interesting to go in now, perhaps. Now, my name is Dries Ketels, and I'm an artist myself. And so I hope I can at least kind of teach you a little bit. I don't know. So let's dive into this video about art rental businesses immediately. Now, from the artist perspective, it's really beneficial because on one hand, you have a passive income stream possibility that we will talk about. On the other hand, you have a sales opportunity in this rental thing. And then on a third part, you have a branding opportunity because a lot of museums have some rental opportunities as well. And then you can kind of connect with them and have that branding aspect as well. And from the collector's perspective, it's also really interesting because it kind of solves, or perhaps solves, one of the biggest problems with the online art market, which is that you cannot see the work in real life before you buy it. And so in this rental system, that gets solved. You actually see the work and experience the work for a sustained period of time before you buy it, which is crucial. So let's talk about all of those things. Number one, the first benefit, the first thing that is really interesting is that the art market, first of all, is going slowly. That $50 billion market is going slowly online with the giants like Amazon Art or Saatchi Art or Artsy. That's a thing that I'm gonna be showing some work on in the next couple of weeks normally, but that's a different story. So we see that online movement, but at the same time, 80% of collectors say or refer to that online space as a space they would never buy from because they don't want to buy before seeing the art in real life. And so that's a problem. And that's a portion of the market, 80%, that online space cannot grab, and they don't have a solution for that. And so in the art rental space, which is basically the ability to, for a fraction of the costs that you normally would spend in buying the work, you are able to rent it for a period of, let's say, for example, 3 months. And then you pay traditionally 10% of the cost, so 10% for experiencing it 3 months. In that scenario, you can actually see the work in real life without making that final decision. And then when you make that final decision to buy it, you can recover part of the 10% that you use to rent it. And so that's a really interesting way, because in the end, art is a considerate purchase. It's not a purchase we make without a lot of thought, like it's a considerate purchase. People like to spend time thinking about making that purchase, and they don't like to spend a lot of time on a website. In a gallery, it's fine, it's nice, it's enjoyable to spend time there. It's enjoyable to spend time on an art fair, but it's not enjoyable to spend time on a website. And so this considerate purchase problem doesn't really get solved in the traditional online art market. And so art rentals come in here very, very handy. Now, the second benefit for artists is probably that it turns out, if you look at the stats, that 80% of collectors who rent art end up buying the art as well. And so from a sales perspective, there's some real sales opportunity there. Now that's just an interesting thing. If you combine that with that first thing, you can see some real advantage coming up, because we have a market that moves online, but we have a huge problem in that considered purchase that market cannot solve. That online market, Saatchi Art, Amazon Art, Artsy, they're all not really solving that problem. And so 80% of collectors are still there that kind of perhaps want to also buy online are still there for the grab. And so this online art rental business, if this booms through, which it's at the verge now. We will see that later in this video. It's at the verge of booming now. If it can actually grab that market, then that's going to be huge. And that's going to be huge. And they will actually have a huge part of that $50 billion market. And so for an artist, it's crucial to go in now. You can see all the chess pieces move and come together. It's crucial to go in now. The worst thing that can happen is that the art rental thing doesn't work out. The best thing that can happen is that it works out and that you were early in the game and that you therefore have a position in that game. Because most upcoming artists might otherwise, perhaps 5 years from now, might not really have the credentials to take advantage of that anymore. And so now, because there's not that much saturation going on, you can grab advantage because the competition in fellow artists trying to do the same thing is fairly low. And so then we go to the third advantage. The third advantage is that you can have some branding opportunity. Now, this is not something that came in the last years or something. This is something that already goes on a few decades back, but there are actually museums, and this is something that a lot of artists don't know. There are museums who have been doing this renting thing on small scale for a pretty long time. And so they have rental galleries that are connected to the museum where they rent out upcoming, emerging, even sometimes somewhat of established artists. They don't rent out like Monet or something, but they rent out some decently priced works. And so if you could potentially go in collaboration with something like this, you have the branding opportunity of working with a museum like that. And that's insane. That's huge. Like you can say to your collectors, yeah, I'm now working with Museum of Los Angeles, whatever. And that's huge. That's really some marketing and branding opportunity right there. And now, from a relationship building point of view, you're in the best position to build a relationship out with those museums. Because what's the best way to build a relationship out? It's by providing value. Especially when you're an upcoming artist, providing value. And in this scenario, you would actually make a profit for that museum. Perhaps a small profit, but a profit still. And so then you have a foot in the door in that museum and you can connect with those creators. You can connect with those people from the museum. Now, I'm living in Belgium. So in Belgium, we don't have those museums. Otherwise, I would just for that relationship building aspect with the museum, I would probably already do that. But I know that in UK there's one. There are a lot of those in America and probably also somewhere in Europe and perhaps in Asia. I don't know. But so depending on where you are located as an artist, this can be really, really interesting. For me, it would be crazy to work with a museum that does that in Chicago when I'm living here. That makes no sense. But so those are some real opportunities. Now, from the collector's perspective, we already covered that a little bit. There's one opportunity actually that's insane, because if you're an upcoming collector, there's no chance that you will be able to grab the eternity value of an artwork in your mind. There's just no way you can do that. There's no way you will, when you're going to an art fair or to a gallery or to whatever, that you will be able to, just out of your eyesight, see how lasting the beauty of that particular artwork will be. You can't do that. You don't have the skill sets to do that yet. You don't have the experience to do that yet. It's a really hard thing to do. But with the art rental service, I'm almost like selling an art rental service. I don't have any affiliation with them at all. But anyway, with an art rental service, you can rent it for a fraction of the cost for 3 months. And then you can see in those 3 months, first of all, how it hangs in your home. And then also how your relationship with that artwork evolves. Because if your relationship grows, if you can see that that you start to like it more and more over the weeks on. You have a fair amount of certainty, or at least more certainty that there is some eternity value in that piece, and that it might appreciate over time, or the value of that artwork might appreciate over time. And that's something that you otherwise cannot really do. You cannot do that in a gallery. And so that's probably the best advantage you have there. And so yeah, for the last part, just last minute or two of this video, we're gonna go into some screenshot modes and actually take a look at what I think are some of the best art rental businesses at this moment. So let's dive into screencast mode. Now, first of all, I want to state that there's no affiliation link or anything like that going on here. I think in the art world, a lot of people are craving for honesty and craving for truth, especially because it's such a mystic, elusive world. Especially on YouTube, there's a lot of BS advice out there. So with this, we're going for an honest Rise Art review. So we're quickly diving into the personality art test. Now, I've done it before, and so I know that it's just a way to scrape emails, to build their email list, and I'm not really sure why they're doing that. Because the truth is that I've never met a corporate art collector who's searching for corporate office artworks, who is not aware of those tactics, and in the end, this is not viral marketing. You know, when objects that you're selling are very expensive, you're dealing with a particular type of customer, and those customers oftentimes don't really like those tactics. So I'm not sure what they're doing there. I don't necessarily agree with it. But anyway, let's check out some abstract art. Now, the interesting thing here is that, first of all, you have to notice how they present it. They're presenting it as artists with artworks. We're gonna go to turning after this, and then we will see the difference between turning art and rise art. But anyway, what you see here are already a lot of artists that are coming up, and that are similar or exactly the same artists as what you see in these online galleries. Luca Brandi, for example, is someone that comes up often, like Fintan Whelan that we saw there. That's a particular artist that I still remember from years ago on Saatchi Art. He was very active there, and I think he sold works at that time for like 200, 300 euros, something like that. And now, as we will see, he's selling for way higher prices, which I think is very smart. But anyway, what we see here is that the sales on online galleries are the same as the sales process in the fine art rental business. We see the same artists, which means that those artists have, first of all, those types of artworks are very hip now, and they work, and so you could think about perhaps having similar works, especially when you want to go on that online art market. And on the other hand, it's very interesting to see that there's not that much difference in corporate office artwork compared to regular fine art or something, or regular abstract art. It's kind of it's the same type of appreciation. So let's take a look at turning arts, art rental business, or fine art rental, or art rental service, or corporate art rental, however you want to call it, doesn't really matter. Their application process is a little bit different. First of all, they have 2 programs, and second of all, it's probably also a little bit easier to get access. Rise Art has an acceptance rate of about 3%, which is not that difficult compared to some big famous art residencies or super competitions or stuff like that. But turning art is probably going to be a little bit easier to get into, predominantly because they have less applicants. It's like personal. You have to contact them personally to apply and stuff like that. So the boundary is a little bit higher, which is not necessarily that bad.
Now you have the partner artist program and the affiliate artist program. There's not that much difference. The only difference or main difference is that um, the partner artist program has prints and stuff like that, catalogs and things that the artists can get into, and they also get their profile that is searchable on the website, so that's pretty interesting. Then you have a little bit more marketing power, but like those things don't really you don't have to hope to get yeah people watching your profiles automatically. You will have to do that marketing yourself anyway, so that's not really a real concern, but it depends on which tactics you have, of course. Like some artists want to have control over their prints, other artists don't really care about that, depending on their tactic. That might be smart or not smart, but anyway, be careful. You always have to control your supply and your scarcity to some extent. So yeah, it depends on your tactic. So let's take a look at the brands that they're working with. Now, Turning Art doesn't have they have some cool brands, no doubt about that, but they don't have the brands or clients for their art rental business of the same quality and same standard as Rise Art. Like Rise Art works, for example, with Google. Those are some global, insane companies. So Turning Art doesn't have that, but what they do have, and this is very interesting, is a better, or in my opinion at least, a better presentation of the artworks. Why? Because if you're a corporate art rental service or a gallerist or a dealer or an artist or whatever, and you want to sell to corporate art collectors, what you want to do is you want to make sure that those corporate art collectors can imagine your work hanging in their offices. This is a very powerful and subtle sales tactic. So you want to use that visualization in your favor. And so hanging or showing works that are hanging in offices, different types of offices, is a very powerful way to do that. Because let's face it, offices don't really look that different from one another, like a lot of them look the same. And so when you're a company and you're scrolling through here, when you're a corporate art collector and you're scrolling through these images, you will see an office that looks similar to the office in your company, and then it becomes easier to imagine works hanging in your own office. And so that's a very powerful thing to do. I think they are doing a really good job there. Now there's an even more powerful way to use that visualization tactic than just showing images, because when you're showing images, you're not really certain that they're actually gonna visualize it. If you're interested in that, I recorded another video on that that's linked up right now, and definitely take a look there, because that's one of the most powerful ways to visualize or to use that visualization in your favor, perhaps the most powerful one out there.
I hope you enjoyed this video about art rental businesses a lot. Make sure to subscribe, because we will be posting videos like this several times a week so that you can lift up your art game. See you later. Ciao, ciao, ciao.